This is the evil genius of professional wrestling, and you're listening to RMP Radio, where pro wrestling is elevated by any means necessary.
RMP Radio is back on the air. Hi, I am your host, Mr. Fourth Row, and joining me once again, the evil genius of professional wrestling, Titus Machiavelli. Titus, how are you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing, Mr. Fourth Row?
I'm great. I'm excited for the spooky season of Shocktober that presents us. How about you?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of my favorite events, and I know I say that a lot, my favorite events, but this is just something. It's one of those core, four events that Rocky Mountain Pro puts on every year, and it's such a fun one because of the holiday of Halloween. It makes it even more exciting.
Yeah, well, I mean, and especially sometimes the wrestlers even get into it and come out in their non-traditional entrance gear and things of that nature, and I think that's always fun for them as well.
I agree.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what's your favorite Shocktober moment? I know you've experienced a few and seen a few, but do you have even if you don't have a favorite, what are some ones that come top to mind to you?
I got one that always stands to my mind is one I wasn't even involved with. The time I took a break from Rocky Mountain Pro, and it was the night that Curtis Cole won the Rocky Mountain Pro Championship. The shock of Shocktober, which you usually get on Shocktober, it couldn't have been bigger than the look on his face when he won. It was just a special moment to see that happen, and unfortunately, I had led to taking away that championship, my milestone the next year. But that moment just always stands out in my mind. The pure joy and excitement and shock on his face. So that's one that stands out for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that one too. That was exciting. And speaking of who you were helping afterwards, he took one of the craziest bumps and maneuvers and the aftermath. It was kind of turned into a meme out there for us as well. So poor right. Tyler Stinson on that. So that was kind of crazy as well. So why don't we get into it? We'll get the listeners excited about the exciting weekend that we've got coming up. We've got Supercharged, and then we've got Shocktober, so Friday, Saturday combo. What we got here, we're going to have, of course, pre-shows for both shows. On Friday night, I think our first match we've got the tag dudes taking on Brumach and Abatu, so they're taking on a Legion there. What do you see kind of maybe going on here in this match?
Well, this is going to be an interesting matchup. I think that this is, on paper, you look at the tag dudes as having a complete advantage. They've tagged together for years, multiple tag team championships. Their opponents, Brumach and Abatu, have tagged, but not on a consistent basis. So on paper, the tag dudes should walk away with this. However, we know that this is the night before Shocktober, so Curtis Cole's gonna have his mind elsewhere when it comes to Stephen Ashburn. And of course, the next night, Mercury Yaden has already qualified to be in the finals of the new NRW Championship. You got to wonder if those distractions are going to play into this, which may give Brumach and Abatu an opportunity to get a victory and get themselves more established as a top tag team at Rocky Mountain Pro.
Right. Yeah. And then, kind of along that same lines, I would also think that, Brumach and Abatu were brought together. Ronin has formed Legion, got them together. So it wasn't necessarily something that was like a synergistic kind of thing where, Yaden and Curtis Cole have been, friends for a long time, and they've been doing this thing they've been tagging together many different versions of the two together, whatever name they have been under. But so they've been kind of doing that for a long time as well.
Yeah, and I think the unknown is where is Ronan? We haven't seen him with either of these two over the last number of weeks, and he sort of walked out on Brew a number of weeks ago uncharged.
Yeah.
So will he be there or will he not? Brumach has really sort of shined since that separation. So does that help? Does that hurt? Lots of story there, I think, and that's just in the pre-show.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then second here we have on the match that we've got on the pre-show, we've got Stephen Ashburn taking on Jumbo. Tune-up match for Ashburn, but Jumbo's not going to want to lay down for him, I would assume.
No, Jumbo's got a lot of pride and a lot of things to prove still in his singles career, though he's been tagging lately. So this should be a very good matchup, and one that I don't believe we've seen before. I think as Jumbo was making his rise in Rocky Mountain Pro, Stephen Ashburn had taken some time away. So this might be as far as I can think, the first time these two have met in the ring.
Yeah, so that should be very intriguing. You think, like we said, Ashburn's got that matchup with Curtis Cole for on Shocktober. You think he's going to be, distracted? A lot of these guys and gals got things happening, the next night at Shocktober versus Supercharged. So what do you think about Ashburn's, state of mind, what he's thinking about going into this match?
I used to be Stephen Ashburn's manager, and when he first debuted and his first, his only run as Rocky Mountain Pro champion, then the NRW. We spent a lot of time talking in those early years, mentoring, the importance of momentum and how it plays into these big style matches. He knows the importance of not only surviving a match against a guy the size of Jumbo, but needing to win that match, because you don't want to go into a match as prolific as the one that he has with Curtis Cole on a loss, and having that, and especially a loss the night before. A week, 2 weeks earlier, you've got time to regroup. It's the night before. So Stephen Ashburn knows the importance of winning this match, just because of what it can lead to the next night. So I think the pressure is really on him, much more than it is on Jumbo. Jumbo's going out to have a regular wrestling match, and win, lose, or draw, he doesn't have anything that will be affected the next night the way Stephen would. So I really think Stephen's got a lot of pressure on him in this match.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of that, something that you just mentioned, you are a big baseball fan, such as myself. One of the cliches that they talk about baseball, because it's a 162 game season. Hey, if we would take a loss, we got the next day, but that doesn't apply to wrestling. You got to have momentum. You've
got to have momentum. It is such an important thing, especially working in matches as prolific as a I respect you match, or anything in a pay-per-view style. Look, losing on a TV episode and then back the next week on another TV episode doesn't have the same sort of pressure that you've got in this situation. We're talking about Supercharged, which is a 2-hour event. Now, it's only the pre-show, and I understand that, but it's still part of the overall evening. And the night before, one of the biggest events, one of the 4 big events that Rocky Mountain Pro does every year, it just ups that stress level. It ups the ante quite a bit. So there is no next game, so to speak, like there is in baseball. He has to win this match in my mind. Anything less than that really, I think, plays into the next night in a way that Curtis doesn't. Curtis is in a tag team match, and that's a different dynamic. Losing is losing. Don't get me wrong, but let's just say that something happens and Brew and Abatu steal a victory. That's a tag team victory, and even though Curtis could be pinned in that or something of that nature, I don't think it has the same effect as losing a one-on-one the way Ashburn has.
Right. Yeah. So third match of the in the pre-show for Supercharged, very intriguing match because it's going to lead up into the next night, of course, into Shocktober as well. So we've got a tag match. We got the 3-ring circus, Happy and Monster 9 versus opponents the next night. They're teaming up, Echo and Porter Blake. This, like I said, this is intriguing. What do you see? What are your thoughts on this matchup and this pairings of especially Echo and Porter?
What a interesting dynamic for a main event of a pre-show. Yeah. You have a well-established team in Monster 9 and Mr. Happy. Haven't had the successes as of late as they had earlier in the year when they debuted. You also have that wild card that is on the outside in Bud Bellflower. But the dynamic of having the Twitch champion Echo teaming with his number one contender and opponent the next night. Now, these are two guys who are very publicly, who like each other, respect each other. I don't expect either of them to do anything nefarious to help themselves win the next night, because I know both of these men. I mean, I play video games on my Twitch channel with Echo on a regular basis, and I've got to know him very, very well. Neither of these men are going to want anything other than the very best from their opponent the next night. So with that, I think that takes away some of the expectations of, oh boy, someone can screw somebody. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they work together, how well they connect. A tag team match is so different because you have to be willing to, step away and let your tag team partner shine in the match and maybe get the victory and look great. And maybe you don't look as great. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. What drama could be involved in this? It's easy to say, I respect you and I like you and I want the best of you on a camera. But when you're face to face, you're standing in the ring and you know that this guy wants your championship or this guy's standing in the way of you getting a championship, all bets are off, Yeah. Reality is reality. It's nice to say great things about each other publicly. Let's see what happens in the ring. That's what I'm interested to see.
Yeah. And I would also think too, with Echo and Porter, maybe they might want to not necessarily in this tag match, maybe show a little something that they may try to use in the match against each other, for the next night.
Absolutely. If you've got a game plan of something that you may want to, pull out that you haven't shown before, or you're not going to want to drop it right there in front of your opponent as a tag team partner to get them thinking. So yeah, you got to, and again, momentum. Does Porter really not? He doesn't want to lose in this tag team match because, again, momentum can play into things. Again, it's a tag team match, a little different, but unlike the tag dudes match, these two are going to face each other the next night, and ego plays a whole lot in the professional wrestling game, and that's a very interesting dynamic. What's going to happen in that match? And again, it's just a pre-show.
Yeah. So going from there, we're going to start off the Supercharged main card with a huge announcement. If people should be following, everything that we do out there on the interwebs with our Twitch stream and our partner there over at the Johnny Deathdrop channel, the Dudes and Belts Chatcast and Recharge, but there's been some ongoing issues with Johnny and Damon Ace, right? As of late. So he's going to have an announcement. Tell the RMP radio listeners of kind of a synopsis of what is going on to try to get them caught up from there to right here to for Supercharged.
So the last couple of weeks on Charged, I've been having discussion. I had a conversation with Lucas because the fans want to know, the RMP faithful. The roster wants to know what's going on with these. Johnny Deathdrop is the host of his channel over on Twitch, and they do a Recharge. I do that with him every Thursday night, and they do interviews. They're really great partners of Rocky Mountain Pro. Damon Ace has taken exception to them. Earlier in the year, he had a real problem with Marky Pins. Marky Pins got into the Colorado Cup, and that didn't go so well for him. But now lately it's been Damon really having an issue with Johnny Deathdrop, to the point where he actually hacked into the Discord server that we use to do the Recharged show. He hacked in, he cut all the dudes out and muted me, and really sort of bullied, in my opinion, bullied Johnny into signing a waiver to have a match with him and J.K. Pop at Shocktober. Johnny Damon proposed you pick anybody, pick two teammates, whoever you want. Championship committee had voted on this, and they came to a tie. As most of the listeners should know at this point, we have a 12-person body, the championship committee, that makes all these decisions. I sit as the president, and the vote was 6-6. We had a revote per the bylaws. It again was 6-6. So my role is to break any ties. And this was the first tie it has ever happened with the championship committee, which really tells you the sensitive nature of the situation that we've got with these men. I had to break that tie, and I've been against the idea of this match happening. I wanted the championship committee to vote it down. It ended up falling into my lap, and I had to make a decision. They made some really good points. The fans really, they started a whole hashtag, let Johnny fight. I decided to go and vote in favor of it, just even though I was against it, because I wasn't going to stand in Johnny's way of trying to, stand up for himself and what the RMP faithful wanted. So that announcement that opens up Supercharged will be yours truly standing in the ring with Johnny Deathdrop, and Johnny will make the announcement of who his two partners are for the next night in that 6-man tag team match. So that opens the show. You don't want to miss that opening. That's going to be such a big part of Supercharged that night.
Right. Yeah. And he's it's available to anybody in the RMP roster for him to choose.
It is, and we were just doing this week a preview. You and I both were guests on his show on Sunday, and it got brought up that I don't necessarily think that it is only the RMP roster. We are going to have some dignitaries in attendance. Maybe they're involved. Maybe they have friends who might be involved. I've always had this idea that it would be the roster, but Johnny can pick whoever he wants. So, granted, they have to agree. Let's just be real for a second. If he asked me to step in the ring and be his tag team partner, I wouldn't agree to it because it would be a detriment to him. So they have to agree. He just can't pick anybody, and they're forced into it. But he has full access to select anybody from the roster he wants, and they can be on his team. So I have no idea who it is. He's been very tight-lipped. I've offered some suggestions, but at the end, it's going to be his decision.
Yeah, and like you said, we queried the chat on the show for him. There was a lot of great suggestions. So, but we're not going to know until then.
Yeah, we're not going to know. So you got to tune in. Supercharged Friday night, opening of the show. Don't miss the pre-show either, because like we were saying, the pre-show is stacked alone on its own. But don't miss that show, because it's going to kick things off. Yeah.
All right, so going from there, we got another great match. All these matches are great. These are all very capable of being main event on a regular charge show. But this is Supercharged, so we've got to turn it up. But we got Severino Corrente taking on Marty Casaus, who's going to be visiting us here for Shocktober. So that's going to be a fantastic match. So like you said, the visiting distinguished series coming here. What do you see on this?
I love this matchup. I mean, I've always been, regardless of how Corrente has been feeling towards me as of late, since Severino Corrente has debuted in Rocky Mountain Pro, I've been a fan. I always thought that he and I had we're not friends. We don't go out and have beers together, but always a great mutual respect for one another when it comes to professional wrestling. And I'm a huge fan of his. And I'm a big fan of Martin Casaus. And I think this matchup is just going to be just a great wrestling matchup. Two guys who really know their craft, have honed their craft. And a little insider baseball here, Corrente has personally asked the championship committee for this matchup. He wants to test himself. This is like a dream match for him. It's a dream match for me as well. So championship committee granted that matchup. It's all on Corrente now. This is a match he wants, and let's see how well he does against a guy with the pedigree of Martin Casaus.
Right, exactly. Then we get a Lockett's match here. Rochelle Riveter is taking on returning to Rocky Mountain Pro for the night. Gem Gemini. That's going to be fantastic to see her again back in an RMP ring. What are your thoughts on this match?
I like this match. I think it's very interesting. You got a very established Lockette in Rochelle Riveter, and an up and comer in the wrestling business in Gem Gemini. She's been, returning back to Rocky Mountain Pro, as you said. She's been going to other places as well, really kind of working on and developing her talents and her name and her branding. I just don't like I don't like the matchup very much. I think Rochelle is at her peak right now. She's in tremendous shape. She's dialed in, and she's got a real edge to her. Part of that is Corrente, I think. He's really given her some encouragement in that realm. I don't like the matchup. I think it's probably a little early for Gem to be in this situation against somebody like Rochelle. 6 months, 12 months from now could be a completely different matchup. I think Rochelle's just really in her sweet spot right now. It's going to be a tough challenge for Gem Gemini. But one thing I've learned about Gem is, they say dynamite comes in small packages, and then you're talking about somebody who's 4'6", 4'7". That's about a small a package of dynamite as you can get in pro wrestling. So should be an interesting matchup. I think Rochelle should win this matchup, but keep an eye on Gem. You don't know what Rochelle could overlook this challenge too. That's always something you have to be aware of. Is somebody, look past this matchup to what's the next thing, the bigger challenge to come. That could be something that surprises Rochelle.
Right, and like you mentioned, Gem Gemini is getting out there, especially on the West Coast, getting to quite a few different promotions, and maybe picking up a little things that Rochelle may not be expecting.
Yeah, I think Gem's getting out in there a little bit more than Rochelle is, and you always want to get yourself. I tell this to young talent all the time: go and work any professional promotion. Professional, stay away from the garbage ones. Because there are a lot of those out there, but get booked in these other places. Wrestle people, you have no idea who they are. Even if it's like I have no film to study, that's fine. Get reps and keep yourself sharp. And I think that's an advantage for Gem. Is she's been doing that a little bit more than the mom has, and I think that might give her just a slight edge. But again, big time matchups have been pretty normal for Rochelle as a multiple-time Lockette's champion. She's been in these big matches, and she always has risen to the occasion. So Gem's, like I said, got a lot on her plate.
Right. And then after this, we've got maybe a possible little bit of a scary match. I'm a little concerned, to be honest with you, but we got in a non-title match. We need to specify. We got Damon Ace, the Charge champion, taking on David Drake. Like you said, everything that's going on with him and Johnny Deathdrop. Damon, like I said, I'm really worried for Drake here in this match. What about you?
Yeah, as you said, it's non-title. I don't think Drake has earned a Charge championship, in complete honesty. So anybody were like, oh my gosh, why isn't the title on the line? Well, you have to earn a championship match at Rocky Mountain Pro, and he's working in tag team with Jumbo. So he doesn't deserve that championship match at this point.
Right. He
gets a victory on Supercharged against Damon Ace. Man, that's going to up his opportunities tenfold. But you're gonna face a guy who's probably one of the most dominant guys in Rocky Mountain Pro right now, and maybe one of the top guys in the history of Rocky Mountain Pro. And I'm talking about a deep. I've worked with guys like Hoodlum and Anaya, and you got a guy who just really is a pedigree. He's a rock star, and he's a guy who does not seem to care about anybody else's well-being, and he might want to send a message to Johnny Deathdrop and those new partners that he'll now, at that point, he'll know who those people are.
Yeah.
He may want to send that message, and Drake could be the one that message is sent to. But Drake's a tough guy. He's a big, strong military guy. He's gone through basic training. He served his tours in literal hell. So he's going to be able to weather some of those things just with his background. It's going to be interesting to see how this match goes down. But you're right; it's going to be a bit of a Haas fight. Something that I'm, fans who listen to me know I love a good Haas fight, and this should be just a hard hitting, mouth jarring fight.
Right. Yeah. So from there, which we just got announced probably a little more than a week ago, we have the Lockett's Championship up for grabs. Reagan Grimes defending against Lilith Grimm. So they didn't have a match. Neither of them had anything going on this weekend. But you announced, like I said, about a little over a week ago, that they decided to get this match for Supercharged. So what do you see on here? I know they've been going back and forth here and there, and it's a mutual admiration society between the two. But they got to put that aside, get in this match, don't they?
It's about the championship, and you said it just this past week over on the Johnny Deathdrop channel. Reagan doesn't like to give up that championship even to the referee
right.
For the match, and that was a great point that you brought up. So she likes that championship. She was interviewed by the dudes and Johnny Deathdrop recently, and she said she likes shiny things, and she has a shiny thing, and it's hers. And she made a great point. It's her championship. She was the very first ever Lockett's champion, will always be the very first. It's hers. And she doesn't want to give it up to anybody. Lilith, there's, like you said, there's mutual respect between the two, almost bordering on friendship. Maybe a bad friendship in some ways. But Lilith can go and get shiny things elsewhere. This is mine. And I think that's what really comes down to is this is one of the most coveted belts in all of independent professional wrestling and women's wrestling. Yeah. It's the Lockett's Championship. And it's something that Lilith has been eyeing. She's not been deemed the number one contender. Nobody has, hence why there wasn't a match at Shocktober. But her actions have garnered some interest from the championship committee, and they wanted to grant this opportunity. And it's going to be a fun match to see. It might be the walk away match of the night if all possible. There's a lot of great matches on this show, but this one could sneak away as that because of the not just the two talented women in the ring, but all the dynamics that stack up on top of them. Right. And then you add in, where does Ronan fall in all of this as well? Because we talked about Ronan just a little while ago. Does he come out with Lilith? Does he not come out with Lilith? Does he get involved? Does he not get involved? I think that's an unknown dynamic that we just can't predict, but the match should be just tremendous with these two women.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited for that. So after that, we have been having the tournament for the new NWR division, NRW division. A little problem with the initials there, but the NRW division in Rocky Mountain Pro. We've been having the tournament. As of right now, all we know is that Yaden is in it, and he's either be facing Orton Veidt, or he's going to be facing RJ Kernigan for that champion, for that title, and we're going to have the signing that night. So what are your thoughts about that signing, and what are your thoughts about that match that we haven't seen the victor yet to face Yaden?
Well, as we're recording this, it's before Thursday night, so we don't know who the victor is going to be between Orton Veidt and RJ. I think that matchup is going to be very interesting. You've got a guy who has made a national reputation, Orton Veidt, in the deathmatch circuit. Not necessarily my cup of tea, but it's something that he has been very dominant on. He's amongst the top guys in the industry. He's a guy who's come to Rocky Mountain Pro and really wanted to hone his wrestling skill. This is a guy who can really, really wrestle, and I've told him personally he doesn't need to do the deathmatch stuff. I get that, it pays the bills. He doesn't need it because he is such a talented wrestler on his own. Taking on a guy who's repackaged himself. He's been committed to training. I think he's dropped somewhere around 40 pounds new name, new attitude, and a new association of some sort with the Wake, and that's RJ, the former Zero Cool.
Yeah.
And he has a lot to prove if he wants to be part of the Wake. It looks to me that champions are what gets you invited to the Wake. The Wake, not that many months ago, invite into the Wake, and he completely dismissed them. So there's that aspect. RJ wants to beat the guy who dismissed the Wake, get that shot against Yaden, who's already qualified for the finals, and get that championship, and hopefully get his ticket punched as a full-fledged member of the Wake. Lot on the line, and this is just a qualifying for the finals. Right. And so whoever wins that will be standing in the ring with Mercury Yaden and myself as we have the official contract signing. The match stipulation, as we've talked about it, the qualifying matches were all traditional wrestling matches, but the NRW division will be stipulative matches. So it could be, something as traditional as a 2 out of 3 falls, something a little bit more up the ante, like an Iron Man match, or maybe even a ladder match or something like that, or it could really be a full-on hardcore ECW style matchup. I know the matchup that the championship committee has chosen for this. I'm not going to say it until Friday night when it's announced, because it wouldn't be fair to say that at this point before somebody else is qualified. Right. So it's going to be a hell of a matchup, and it's a wrestling contract signing. God knows what can happen.
Yeah, and personally, like I mentioned on the Dudes and Belts podcast chatcast, there was that we're gonna hang her. Why it'd be so? Wouldn't that be something if it was a boot camp match?
Right. It would be. So you should have suggested that a little earlier, though.
I know.
I could have taken that to the championship committee 2 weeks ago.
So our main event of Supercharged, and I feel like there's a little bit of deja vu from Shocktober's past, but Sledge is of course coming back to visit us here at Rocky Mountain Pro, taking on the number 1 contender to the Rocky Mountain Pro Championship, Balaam. What's your thoughts about this for both these competitors? It's very tricky.
I'm so conflicted. I've been on the Balaam bandwagon since my return to Rocky Mountain Pro more than a year ago. This young man is not just the future of Rocky Mountain Pro. That's easy to say. He's a future in professional wrestling. He's already got organizations, looking over, checking them out. So I'm a big fan of Balaam. We'll talk about Balaam's match with Dustin because I got a lot of beliefs in that match at Shocktober. But my confliction comes to my association and friendship with Sledge. I've known Sledge since he broke into the business when I was living and working out in California for a couple of years. We've maintained a great friendship. I was his first manager as well. So I'm so conflicted in this match, and I don't know if I can give you, in the fans, an honest prediction in this match because I'm a little bit emotionally conflicted here. My love of Balaam and what he means to this company that I work for, but also my long time, about near a decade of friendship with Sledge and all the things that he's managed to accomplish now as a star at Ring of Honor, an up and coming star there as well. So that's going to be a fantastic matchup. I don't know how to predict it. All I hope is that I just hope that things, nothing happens to Balaam because something, this is pro wrestling. Yeah. And this is dangerous. And gosh, I would hate for something to happen the night before that could put that main event at Shocktober in jeopardy. But it's going to be a fantastic match. It's going to be a 5 lighthouse match.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And craziness that it's going to be that Balaam's going to be the main event on both of these shows.
Yeah. I was as you were saying that, it crossed my mind. I'm like, wait a minute. Balaam's in the main event. of both evenings. And it's kind of funny. I know Balaam has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. We've seen it uncharged. He doesn't feel like he's maybe being taken seriously, or you're getting the recognition that he feels he deserves. But I would say he's in the main event of Shocktober, which he earned on his own by winning the Colorado Cup. But he's also in the main event of Supercharged the night before. I think that says a lot about what Rocky Mountain Pro thinks of him as a talent. So I hope he doesn't think that he's being overlooked, because that's quite the contrary.
Right. So true. So from there, which it's going to be a crazy night, we've got to, reset and, get ready for Shocktober, a little less than 24 hours away from there.
Yeah, we're at Bierstadt at downtown Denver on Friday night, and then we're headed over to Stanley Marketplace to set up all over again the next night. So, yeah, it's going to be a crazy 24-hour turnaround.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. And I think we're even, we're starting a little bit earlier for Shocktober than we are for Supercharged. So, yeah, so all these guys and gals probably need to get their rest before heading, over to Stanley Marketplace for.
Yeah, there's no going to the bar afterwards. There's no, hey, celebrating my big victory on Supercharged like you would normally.
Right.
You got to get to bed and get up and, get a workout in, maybe do a little training in the ring and get ready for your big match, depending on who you are, the next night. And all that inside of, well, let's be real, it's like 18-hour turnaround.
Right.
By the time that Supercharged ends and Shocktober begins.
Yeah. And speaking of which, so we're going to start with, once again, another pre-show for Shocktober. First match out of the gate, we've got Owen Easton versus Happy. This should be very interesting to see these two open up the pre-show for Charge. What do you think?
I think Owen has really started to really find himself. He's really started to lean on his previous MMA experience and really kind of adapting that into his style, not trying to be like this guy or that guy, but being more like Owen Easton. And it's working. He's had some great victories. He's looked great in these matchups, even if, in situations where he's lost. Mr. Happy, that's another side. We haven't seen a whole lot of singles matches. I believe, if I'm correct, we've only seen like maybe one or two singles matches with Mr. Happy. And Mr. Happy was supposed to be in the NRW tournament. He was in bracket 2. He would have been the original opponent of Oren Veit. It ended up being Brumach because Mr. Happy and Monster 9 were suspended for 2 weeks due to their actions in the involved in the match with 9 and Filter in bracket 1 uncharged. When they went into the crowd, the championship committee levied a fine to Bud Bellflower and suspensions to both 9 and Happy, costing Happy a chance to be in that tournament and have a chance to win that championship. So this is his first match since that suspension. You got to wonder if he's got something up his sleeve, if he's got something to prove that he should have been not overlooked in that aspect. And if what aspect does Bud play in all this? Because Bud lost money by being fined, and Bud has lost money with his wrestlers not wrestling. He gets a cut of that, So
exactly. Yeah, but
it's gonna be a good match to open up the pre-show. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, with his clients not performing, he doesn't get any income either.
No income.
Yeah, so true. So from there, we've got a tag team match. We got Brumach and Abatu back in action from the previous night. They're going to take on Jumbo and David Drake. Hopefully, David Drake makes it to this match after the previous night against Damon Ace. And, same thing, I think, with Jumbo, because he's taken on Ashburn the previous night. So hopefully they, like I said, both of them make it. What do you see on this one?
I think this is a great look at two up-and-coming tag teams. I don't know the longevity of Jumbo and Drake. They've been together for a couple of months. They've had some successes, but I do know both have individual desires. In chatting with them over the past weeks and months, Brew and Abatu, very similar. They haven't tagged together very much. Both have individual goals. I know Brumach does. I don't talk to him very much, and you don't talk to Abatu. that doesn't work.
Right.
But I think this is a really interesting matchup. Two tag teams that are looking to maybe work their way into getting for Jumbo and Drake another shot at the tag team championship, but Brew and Nabatu haven't had a shot. So this is a good matchup. They'll help the winner move a little bit further up, maybe take on a more established team like the Tag Dudes or the Three Ring Circus, and maybe get a victory there, and then get a shot at JK Pop and those tag team titles.
Right. Yeah. So true. Yeah. Score some points. Score some favor with the championship committee.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity for all of these people in the pre-show to let that championship committee see them. I've said it over and over and over. It's about wins and losses, but it also how they performed. You can impress people in a losing aspect, and this is an opportunity to be on the pre-show. You're not on the big fall show. You want to be on Shocktober. And what can I do to impress the people that make those decisions to get me on there? This matchup is indicative of that. All these are these are four very talented people who are not on Shocktober that want to be on Shocktober to get a bigger paycheck, a bigger opportunities in the future. So this is I think an important matchup for both these teams to really get that opportunity going into the remainder of 2021.
Right. True. So true. So next on the match, we got the last match for the pre-show for Shocktober. It's something we hinted at for on Supercharged, the Twitch Championship. Twitch champion Echo versus the contender Porter Blake. This is a tough one for me. I think both these competitors are great. What do you think? What do you see? How do you feel?
I think that the Twitch Championship might be right now, and I said this a few days ago over on Johnny Deathdrop's channel. I believe that this is the most competitive championship that we have right now. The Wake seems to really have their belts tied up pretty high right now. But the Twitch Championship, we've had a total of 3 Twitch champions this year alone.
Right.
Porter wins. That's a 4th person just in the year 2021. The Twitch Championship, not on the same level as obviously the Rocky Mountain Pro Championship or even the Charge Championship. However, the Twitch Championship is always defended on Twitch in pre-shows. It's always there. It is, whether we're on the front page of Twitch or not on the front page, whether it's, 15,000 people on Twitch watching us or it's, 20, that Twitch champion is always featured in that main event spot, where this match falls. So for somebody who wants to get their brand out there, who wants to show people what they can do in this wrestling business, that's a great place to do it. And I think Echo has really taken on that Twitch championship and has sort of elevated his brand to another level with the fandom. And I think Porter is on the cusp of really breaking out, and a victory over Echo and that championship around his waist is exactly what's I think what Porter needs to break out and really have a really hot 2022. But it's not going to be easy. Echo is very, very talented, and I think he likes he's a very humble individual, but I think he likes that, a little bit of that limelight that he's getting at this point as well. This is going to be a dynamic match, and it could be one of the best 2 or 3 matches of the entire night, and it's only on the pre-show.
Right. Yeah. And this could be possible. We mentioned it. Like I said, a few days ago, this could be the match of the night, or even the weekend.
Yeah, it could be. It really could be.
Yeah. All right. So from there, we're gonna get Shocktober started, and out of the chute, got a big, could be a big old brawl, but we've got Severino Corrente versus Monster 9. So Monster 9 in a singles match, which we don't see very often. Yeah. What else do you see here that the RMP radio listeners should keep an eye out on this match?
Yeah, this is a little this is a little different than a normal opening matchup. I mean, a lot of times when you see an opening matchup, on a Rocky Mountain Pro pay-per-view event for sure. But even on Charge, you see a lot of high-flying, high-impact, a Lipto, a Balaam, somebody who can really just sort of an Echo, a Porter Blake, people who can really just, wow you with some of their in-ring. You're not going to get that in this matchup. What you're going to get is you're going to get a lot of hard-hitting, fist-to-face action. And though Monster 9 outweighs Corrente probably somewhere by, I'd say, 75 to 100 pounds, Corrente is not a lightweight. He's a very, very strong individual. If you've ever seen any of his social media stuff, he's a power lifter, got tree trunks as his thighs. These are two guys who are just going to punch each other, and should be very entertaining. It should be something that we would normally see. It's almost like a horror, a sort of a feel, and it being Shocktober, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun to watch, and I think the pressure really is on Corrente because, as you said, Monster 9 not typically known as a singles wrestler. He's had some struggles recently. Lost in the NRW tournament against Filter. We mentioned earlier some of the failings that the three-ring circus has had, the struggles with Bud Bellflower. I think that he's got nothing but up to go. Corrente, big match the night before against Martin Casaus, and then this one, he can't. If he loses to Martin, he can't lose to Monster 9.
Right.
That just really hurts your status. So it's going to be an interesting match for sure. Hard hitting, no doubt.
Right. So from there, we have got a notice that Rochelle is wanting some time to address the Rocky Mountain Pro faithful. There's a lot of things that are going on with Rochelle as of late. You guys have been watching Charged. You have any thoughts of what could be, why she has called for this?
Well, I'm sure there's going to be a part of it where she's bashing me. She's got like Corrente, they've got personal issues with me for whatever reason. I wish I knew what I did because then I could address those things. I mean, in the old days, I got a lot of static and a lot of heat, but I knew what I did to do those things. I'm kind of without at the moment. There's that. There may be, her talking about the Lockett division potentially, wanting an opportunity to, her last shot at getting back her championship against Reagan Grimes was interrupted by Lilith Grimm. That could be a thing that she's talking about. Could also have a bit of a beef not being on Shocktober. She was on Shocktober last year. In fact, she won the Lockett's championship 1 year ago at Shocktober by screwing over her at then best friend Alligato.
Yeah.
So it's been what a year it's been for her. So a lot of things that she could talk about, but she requested the time, and the championship committee was willing to give it to her.
Yeah. Well, so we'll have to tune in and watch and see what she has to say. Well, from there, we've been building this up for quite a long time, for a few weeks here. We've got we're going to have the NRW Division Championship. We know that Yaden is in it, and then by this time we will know who he's going to be taking on for that championship. We kind of discussed it a little bit. We don't know what the stipulation on this match is, but it's finally going to happen. And what is it to you that we're seeing this the NRW initials come back and to get kind of like make it a division, make it something something totally different, within Rocky Mountain Pro. What's it like to you seeing that this finally is this has come out and this is going to be settled and we're going to have our first champion in this like I said, this new division? This
division is 20 years in the making for me. I have I've been involved with Rocky Mountain Pro for over 7 years in different capacities. And my fingerprints are on a lot of different things. I helped to create the Lockett's division. I instituted the Charge Championship. I brought the tag team titles to Rocky Mountain Pro. I created the Colorado Cup, the peak of the pack. But none of those were, as in my mind, as long as this division. This is something that I used to, years and years ago, the internet used to have what was called e-feds, fantasy wrestling. And that was my first forte into from being just a fan to doing something more creative with wrestling. And one of the things I developed 20 years ago was the idea of a stipulation, or maybe even better word for a wrestling fan is a gimmick match division. So it's every match will be defended in some sort of stipulation. It's going to be a very special division. It's not going to see something you'll ever see defended uncharged. It's probably going to be a championship that is only defended 6, 8, 10 times a year at most. It's sort of a special sort of feeling. And when I brought this idea to Mercury Yaden, he and I had a discussion, and the original name of that division I had as the No Limit division. No limits. Anything is possible. And of course, the first thing comes out of Yaden's mouth is no rules. The old wrestling rules are sort of thrown out in some ways. And that was the original name of NRW way back when Yaden first started doing pro wrestling, No Rules Wrestling NRW, which he then converted that name into New Revolution Wrestling, which is Rocky Mountain Pro.
Right.
And it's so special, those 3 letters. I only work in Rocky Mountain Pro, NRW. I don't work in any other promotion in Colorado. I don't tour the country of any way. I work at Rocky Mountain Pro. And those letters are important to Yaden for, as I mentioned, it's where his birth into business. They're tattooed on his calf.
Yeah.
It's important to a lot of us who've been around. KD feels the same way. Lucas Bradwell feels the same way. So we can't really talk about the match because we don't know all the pieces of it. But the fact that this has been promoted since Milestone, those little vignettes that used to pop up with the old NRW logo and saying 2022, and then all of a sudden that changed and I guess you could say it glitched and said 2021. And when we made that announcement, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about that announcement that night. It was so special to, bring out the old NRW championship. It's beaten up, it's dented, it's chipped, but it's still the first NRW. It was the first championship that this company had customized. Before that belt, it was a sort of a mass-produced blank canvas sort of championship. that NRW championship, that logo, that belt, it was designed, and the first person to carry that was I believe it was Duff Doyle who carried that belt. Very short time, taken by Stephen Ashburn, then Stefan Lacroix, Ring of Honor star Dak Draper, the Rocky Mountain Pro Hall of Famer Hoodlum, Curtis Cole, Tyler Stinson, and now the lineage falls onto Dustin Urich, and he was the longest reigning champion of all time. It's special, and this match will be amazing. What I do know of it, I don't know. I know the stipulation. Obviously, we know Yaden. We don't know who the other person is. If it's RJ Kernan, it's going to be very interesting because it's going to be the Wake trying to take that championship away from Mercury Yaden. That would mean so much to Dustin, I think, in so many ways. Take that title away from Mercury Yaden. And if it's Oren Veidt, man, that's going to be, depending on the stipulation, it could be right into the wheelhouse for a guy like Oren Veidt, who's a deathmatch guy. So it's just there's so much drama involved in this match all on its own, and we don't know all the pieces yet, and it's already drama filled. So it's going to be fun to watch. I'm looking forward to be sitting there with KD, and of course D'Lo Brown will be joining us on commentary as well for Shocktober. That's going to be a fun one to call.
Yeah, that's gonna be great, and it's just gonna, like, sitting here now, like you said, kind of alluded to it. It's intriguing because we don't know what it is, and we won't know until Friday night, and then we're gonna only have everybody that's gonna find out. Once again, we're only gonna have about 18 hours to go. This is the match that's gonna happen tomorrow. I can't wait to see it.
By the end of the night Thursday, we'll know who the other
Right.
dance partner is going to be.
Right.
But there's three pieces of the puzzle on this,
Right.
and
Right.
that most important puzzle is the stipulation. If it's more of a hardcore style, Yaden has experience working in that realm. We've seen matches that he's had over the years in Rocky Mountain Pro. Obviously, Orin Veidt, we've talked about his pedigree in those more hardcore styles. If it's a more traditional wrestling match, Orin Veidt is a tremendous talent, but Mercury Yaden's got 20 years in the business of professional wrestling. He's the head trainer at the Al Snow Wrestling Academy. The school he has tied to Al Snow and OVW. So that maybe gives him the advantage. So the stipulation is probably really going to help determine who has the advantage in this match.
Right. So true. From there, something that's been building up for, I would say, years, even though we didn't really necessarily know it. We've got the I Respect You match from Curtis Cole and Stephen Ashburn. Man, you know these two very well. Long time. Like you said, you've coached, managed Stephen for a period of time. And you've seen Curtis Cole come up in Rocky Mountain Pro, NRW at the time, the beginning. What do you see here, from what your experience and what you've seen these two and now coming to the head here?
I think that I should have seen this coming when I signed Stephen Ashburn at Milestone 11 to return and face Curtis Cole. I should have seen it then. And I didn't. These are two guys who have a history together. These are two of the most decorated guys in the history of Rocky Mountain Pro. Curtis Cole, multiple-time tag team champion, Charge champion, Rocky Mountain Pro champion. Stephen Ashburn, same thing. Rocky Mountain Pro champion, Charge and tag team, but also he was a Lockettes champion. And which is funny to say, but I think he pulled it off very well. So you got two of the most decorated guys, and there's history of a beef between the two. Like you said, I managed Stephen. I did battle with Curtis. I'm proud to say that Curtis and I have put those behind us, the way that me and Mercury Yaden have, and I call Curtis Cole a friend these days, and I don't Stephen Ashburn. And Stephen, I thought Stephen had gotten past all the old Stephen and Titus stuff, but apparently not so. What he said prior to signing a contract is very different than what he's doing every week on Charged. An I Respect You match is just a play on an I Quit match. You put your opponent in a position where you put a mic to them and they have to say, I respect you, Curtis Cole. I respect you, Stephen Ashburn. That's how you get the victory. And for that phrase to come out of either man's mouth is hard.
Yeah.
But then you add, they have to say those words to one another, makes it even more difficult. This is going to be personal. It has been personal for weeks on Charged. It's going to be extremely personal in that ring. I think that this match is probably the perfect and kudos to Curtis for coming up with the idea. It's a perfect venue, a perfect place, and a perfect matchup to hopefully end this feud once and for all. And maybe these two can move past it all.
Yeah. And what do you think of, like I said, it's a play on the I Quit. Do you think those words, because it's I respect you, so it's in the total length, it's more words, but it's also it's different. It's a different feeling say instead of I just quit, quote unquote, versus okay, I respect you. What do you think the psychology or the mental to actually have to say that instead of, like I said, instead of the "I quit."
Well, I think it's the difference between being the personal side of things. To go,
Yeah.
I quit. It's a business decision. I can't get out of, let's just say I'm in a submission hold. I can't get out of it. I can't reach the ropes to break it. I've got no choice to make the business decision of saying, I quit. I'll come back to fight another day. That's a normal thing in the business of professional wrestling. Now you're adding, no, you're not quitting. You're saying to a rival, to a heated rival that you don't respect in any manner or form. If you've seen the words of these men, and we saw words from Curtis last week on Charged, we will have words from Stephen Ashburn this week on Charged. They've been personal. So to say that makes it's not business anymore. It's no longer about wins and losses and championships and rankings and championship committees. It's personal. And I think that's what makes it so interesting. Is it's no longer about business. This is about personality traits. It's about long-held issues. It's about respect, or the lack thereof, on either man's side for each other.
Right. Yeah. So from there, something
if that's not enough, that could be a main event anywhere in the world.
Yeah. So speaking of building things up for a little bit of time, we're gonna have Team Wake versus Team Death Drop. We know who Team Wake is. We still don't know who at the time of this recording for this podcast, but we will know when we get to this point at Shocktober, because it'll be announced the night before, of Team Death Drop taking on, like we said, the Wake. So, what do you see? What's the experience tell you in this match of what could be happening?
Well, first off, and I've not said this before, so you're getting a little insider baseball that nobody else has. When I made the decision and voted to approve the match and break the tie, I also said to the committee, I wouldn't even allow the names of the partners to be announced until they walk to the ring. Let's just wait till then. And the champions, and that's me and my personal issues with the Wake and my personal issues with Damon Ace and Johnny Death Drop's my friend. We've become great friends. So the championship committee, in their independent wisdom, said no, we should announce it at Supercharged the night before. Obviously it's good for ratings, but also gives at least a little time for members of the Wake, J.K. Pop and Damon Ace, to prepare for a matchup in a fair manner. I agree with that. It's personal to me. This is personal to me, and it's probably as personal as the match we were just talking about between Ashburn and Cole. It's like that for me, because I got invited to be part of this new thing called Recharged back in February of this year. Really wasn't sure why I wanted to get into all this. My time is already stretched as it is. Immediately liked the guys, all the dudes. But I talked to Johnny Death Drop at least once, if not twice a week, outside of Recharged, and we have conversations as you learned this past week. We have conversations into the twilight after Recharged sometimes as well. So this is personal for me. I think this matchup is so many. You talked about unknowns when it comes to the NRW match. There's just so many unknowns when it comes to this, because the Wake has the advantage. End of story. Even though they don't even know who the opponents are until the night before their matchup, there's 3 champions on the Wake side. An up-and-coming, very dominant Charge champion, and the longest reigning tag team champions of all time.
Yeah.
They're very accomplished. It doesn't matter who Johnny selects. He is not a wrestler. And it's going to basically be 2-on-3, because what can you expect from Johnny? He's coming in early. He's going to put in time in the Al Snow Wrestling Academy, work in the ring. He's going to be here Wednesday. He's going to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning. I know that he's going to put in time in the ring, but that's not going to be enough to tip the scales. This matchup is in the Wake's favor, in my opinion. Johnny could really shock the world and have two amazing opponents that could maybe, change the momentum in their favor. But it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and hopefully who he picks will give the Wake a little bit of a pause. I'm hoping.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
If he picks you and I, team's grouped.
Right.
If they pick, I think you had an interesting thought of HGH.
Yeah.
You get a guy, like Lipto and Filter. That would be interesting. It could be anybody. And I think it's important that it's not just anybody. It's two somebodies.
Right.
It has to be in order to, I think, balance things out.
Right. So we'll just have to wait and see, when that comes up and how that plays out. I'm hoping that Johnny's, of course, you just mentioned it. Unfortunately, I think we are going to give a little, maybe thought process to Damon Ace. I'm hoping that he's made precautions to, maybe keep an eye out for Damon, so maybe Damon doesn't pull any shenanigans before their match.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say is that I said it on Charged this past week. I reiterate it here. I will say it in commentary. The night of Shocktober, JK Pop and Damon Ace had better act like professionals.
Right.
I made it very clear to the championship committee that irregardless of their wants and needs, if something were to there will be hell to pay if anything is done to Johnny out of the realm of normal. Look, he's going to be in the ring. He signs the waiver that he can't sue Rocky Mountain Pro. He's in the ring with a dangerous individual in Damon Ace and a phenomenal tag team in JK Pop. He's going to get punched in the mouth, and it's going to hurt, and that's on him. That's not on them. It's not on me. It's not on Rocky Mountain Pro. That's expected. But anything above and beyond the norm is not going to be tolerated. I will not allow it to happen. I'm expecting them to act like professionals, not act like thugs.
Right. Yeah.
That's really interesting for me to come out and say, considering all the thug things I've done in my life. I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. It is kind of a little bit of a. Say what? kind of thing.
I ran around with the 4-Point Cartel and Naya and Hoodlum, and we ran roughshod all over Rocky Mountain Pro for a very long time, not caring about other people. But having done that, been there, seeing the error of the ways, that's why I'm holding them to such a higher standard, because I know what they're capable of, because I know what I was capable of, and I know that I was wrong, and they would be wrong too.
Right. Yeah. So, the finale, the main event of Shocktober, the Rocky Mountain Pro Championship. Dustin Urich defending against the number one contender, Balaam Lynx.
Yeah.
Like we said, he is main eventing both nights, Balaam Lynx. You think after that match there with Sledge the previous night, Balaam's going to be up to the challenge?
I think that if you've seen some of the words of Balaam on Charge, some of the matches that he has had, if you've at all looked at his social media, barring an unforeseen, injury or something of that nature, or I don't put anything past Awake. They could do something the night before as well. Lord knows they're not above that. I think Balaam's going to be ready. I think Balaam is. I think he's hungry. I think there's an edge to him. I think he has. I don't agree with his stance of I'm being overlooked, but if that's a motivational tool for him, it's a good one. because it does push you to go, I'll show them. I think Balaam Lynx will be physically, mentally, emotionally totally ready for this matchup.
Yeah. When you say he's saying that he's being overlooked, do you think that's just actually a little maybe psych out to the Vulture that, oh yeah, you're being overlooked, and no I'm not, to kind of maybe give a little bit of advantage. This is pro wrestling after all.
The wrestling is not just the in-ring moves.
Yeah.
There is a psychology of things, and part of the reason that I've been deemed the evil genius has nothing to do with anything other than my mental acumen and crafting, game plans. Look, let's be real. I've managed multiple Rocky Mountain Pro champions, tag team champions, charge championship champions. I've pulled the wool over everybody's eyes from time to time. Wrestling is part physical, but part mental. So it could be, you're absolutely right. It could be part of Balaam's strategy, maybe to paint the picture that I'm the underdog and nobody believes in me, where Dustin goes, this guy doesn't stand a chance against me. Let's go head out and hang out with because these guys are living the 4 horsemen lifestyle, these wake members.
Yeah.
He could easily say, hey, you know what? Let's go grab some girls and some champagne over at the nightclub and hang out tonight. I got that match. That kid doesn't have a chance because look, nobody cares about him. Look at that. It could be a great psychological ploy, but the problem I would have with all that is Dustin Urich. Say what you will about Dustin in the year 2020 and into 2021. This guy's got 15 plus years in the wrestling business. He's trained with the best. He's trained a lot of talent. He's got a great mind in professional wrestling, and I don't think he would overlook somebody in that manner. I just don't think that he would fight on that psychology of, oh, that guy's guy. He's going to want to put it away early. Now it could affect his game plan. That could be something that happens, but it's chess, and I love it.
Yeah, and that's going to be all exciting to see how this, turns out at Shocktober. So hopefully everybody tunes in, comes, and if you're in the area, comes and attends. It's going to be a fantastic night, yet a fantastic weekend.
And it's a stacked weekend. I mean, we got as I said, D'Lo Brown will be on commentary for Shocktober. Al Snow will be in attendance for the weekend as well. Al won't be in any matches of any kind. He's making a personal appearance. We've got personal appearances from Sledge and Marty Casals, who wrestled the night before, and we have the biggest wild card of the whole weekend, an appearance by Gangrel.
I mean, Shocktober.
On Shocktober, if you're going to have a Halloween-themed pay-per-view, who better to have on that than Gangrel?
Yeah.
Exactly. I can tell you I have no idea what Gangrel will be doing at Shocktober. Zero. Nada. Nothing. I haven't spoken to him. The championship committee hasn't spoken with him. I have no idea what his intent is that night. Maybe he, wants to challenge the winner, Balaam and Dustin. Maybe he wants, who knows what he wants. But he's Gangrel, and he's getting pretty much what he wants in many cases, I think.
I mean, it's his night. I mean,
Yeah. If it was like, the middle of May, it wouldn't have as much of a, this is the night before Halloween. Yeah. And he's got one of the most amazing characters in professional wrestling history. I've had the pleasure of working with him one other time when I was in California. An amazing individual, a very intelligent man in the ring. He's got, we talked a few minutes ago, we're talking about psychology and the mental side. He's got that mastered for sure, in a way that many don't. So that's just another thing that, we don't know what we don't know at this point, sitting here recording. That's why you got to watch Shocktober, because the key word to Shocktober is the word shock.
Mm-hmm.
Every year, there's one or two or even three things that just blow your mind. Last year, a big shock was Rochelle Riveter, the perennial fan favorite, turning her back on her best friend, Allegato, screwing her and winning what a shock that was to everybody.
Yeah.
That's the key about Shocktober. So you got to tune in just to see what is, there's a lot of matches that are going to shock you, but there's unknowns that could really shock you.
Right. So true. So, and speaking of that, so we should definitely tell the listeners, if you want to attend, of course, please head over to our website at rmpwrestling.com. Purchase your tickets. There's for the Shocktober event, there's meet and greet before the shows with Al Snow, D'Lo, and Gangrel, I believe.
Yeah,
like an hour before the show, so you can get in on that. Beer Start the night before is a free show, but I always tell everybody at the end of the show to even though it's a free show, hit up the Beer Start. Hit them up with your refreshments. Please patronize them. Get a couple drinks, get some food. Of course, support the wrestlers at the merch table. You are getting a ticket for free, so just divert your money in another way. It's always nice.
Beer Start is such a wonderful partner with us.
Yeah.
We've been using that relationship for shows for, I don't know, it's been 3 or 4 maybe years. Chris Rippey, the owner, is a tremendous individual, big supporter of Rocky Mountain Pro. Mm-hmm. And we're able to, put on this show at no cost to the fan. And it's a cost to Chris Rippey. I mean, he's giving up time at Bierstadt that could be a band or whatever.
Yeah.
And you want to get that free show? Got fantastic beer there as well. They have this like lemon, I think it's called a lemon drop beer. Oh, fantastic!
And the fantastic homemade mac and cheese. So many different flavors. It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, there's so many different flavors. It's like you can go a whole year and not get a duplicate flavor with that mac and cheese. That's what I really love about it. What else do you think the listeners should know about the weekend, about attending? Of course, twitch.tv/Rocky Mountain Pro if you're not in the area. Get that subscription.
If you're near, you gotta buy a ticket. You gotta go live. I said that Milestone 11 would be the biggest event we have ever put on, and I believe I was proven right. What an amazing show! What an amazing weekend! I'm telling you that we're going to step it up even more. Shocktober is going to be an amazing live experience. Nothing beats Rocky Mountain Pro live. You know that as well as I know. The RMP experience is fantastic live, but you have to, if you can't be there live, twitch.tv/Rocky Mountain Pro. You have to be a subscriber to get these, 2 shows. It's a subscriber only perk for sure. Pre-shows are going to be completely free to watch on Twitch, but it's a cup of coffee to subscribe. It will be 2 great shows for the cost of a cup of coffee. It's worth it.
Definitely. Well, Titus, thank you as always for coming on the show. Remind the people on the social medias and everything that you're doing, and I think you're even doing something a little special this week that you might want to let the RMP radio listeners know as well.
Nothing special. I mean, this is all about Shocktober this week. I stream over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Evil Genius Titus. Everything social media, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, all that's Eddie is Evil Genius Titus. That's all one branded. Gonna have some fun. We're gonna talk about Supercharged a Tuesday and Thursday night. I stream. We're gonna talk about the shows. Thursdays are RMP Thursdays. Start my channel 6 p.m. and then I raid over to Rocky Mountain Pro, and Bud Bellflower hosts Charged. And then he raids over to Johnny Death Drop for Recharge. Except for this week, Johnny being here, he's not going to host Recharged. I'm going to host on my channel. So you want to see something a little different, you'll check out Recharge, hosted by yours truly. And Thursdays are always RMP Thursday, starting at 6 p.m. on my channel. goes all the way until that's Mountain Standard Time, and it goes on, past midnight. So it's like 6-7 hours and nothing but RMP. And sometimes the boss man, Yaden, streams in the middle of the night, and then we raid over to him. So it could be like 7 or 8 hours of RMP stuff. So Thursday nights are definitely RMP Thursdays.
Yeah. Fantastic. And I love it. I always try to get in somewhere in those hours. Yeah, it is a commitment, but there's something for you, everybody.
It is.
Yeah. Well, once again, Titus, thank you for coming on, and I definitely can't wait to see the listeners, the fans, yourself, everybody this weekend at RMP Shocktober.
Be there, guys, by any means necessary.
Once again, a big, huge thank you to the evil genius of professional wrestling, Titus Machiavelli, for coming on to this edition of RMP Radio and getting all of you, all of the listeners, all of the RMP faithful excited for this huge Shocktober weekend for Rocky Mountain Pro. Before we get out of here, let's pay some bills like we used to say back in the day. Want to get some merchandise of your favorite Rocky Mountain Pro superstars? Head over to rmpwrestling.com, click on the merchandise link, or if you're in Amazon.com or in the Amazon app, do a search for Rocky Mountain Pro, and you'll be presented with lots of choices to choose from right there. And then always remember, hit up your favorite Rocky Mountain Pro superstars, see if they've got a pro wrestling tees, Brainbuster tees, and the like that you can purchase directly from the websites. And then always visit the merch tables at the shows they are at, and you may find some show exclusive merchandise that they will only be available there. Now, after you are done listening to this, we want you to head over to twitch.tv/Rocky Mountain Pro. Subscribe there. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you do get a Twitch subscription automatically with your Prime membership. If you have one that tied up already, or if you're not an Amazon Prime subscriber, it's a nominal fee, like $5.99 a month, and it's well worth the price of everything that you get with that subscription. Also, watch the shows on our youtube.com/Rocky Mountain Pro. You'll see those when they get broken down into individual episodes, so we would love you to watch that as well. And then, of course, you can also watch those individual episodes on the Fight TV platform, whether it's fight.tv on your computer or the Fight TV app on your mobile devices and on the Roku. Now, upcoming events, we just focused here on Shocktober weekend. So remember, Friday night, we're at Bierstadt Lager House in Lodo in the Denver area. Show starts at 7 p.m. It's a free event, so come on down. All we ask you to do is please patronize the Bierstadt Lager House with refreshments and drinks. Great drinks they've got there, great food, all types of food you can get there. And then please support your Rocky Mountain Pro superstars at the merch table. Also remember that Saturday, the biggest adult Halloween costume party in the state of Colorado is going on with Shocktober. We're at the Stanley Marketplace over in Aurora. You want to get tickets to that, head over to rmpwrestling.com, click on the events link, and you'll get a link to get you routed to get those tickets. So please treat yourself, get those tickets, and don't get tricked by missing out. Remember to follow us out there on the interwebs. Start off at our website, rmpwrestling.com. On the social medias of the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram of The Rocky MTN Pro. Once again, I'll phonetically spell that for you. That is The Rocky Mike Tango November Pro. And as always, thank you for listening to this edition of RMP Radio, where pro wrestling is elevated.